Imagine an athlete on the court, all eyes on them, every move under spotlight, waiting to be criticized or rewarded by applause. In that moment, athlete embodies clarity, focus, and singularity. But what happens when the lights go down? What comes next when the professional career ends and that singularity must find a new arena? Well, let me tell you my story. I am that athlete who stepped onto the court countless times, celebrating victories, endured defeats, and one day had to say goodbye to my own sporting singularity and active career. At that moment, the shiny side of the medal that everyone sees and celebrates with us, I quietly and sadly had to turn to its reverse. So afraid and unprepared. Why had everybody told me that this will hurt so much and this day has to come? In conversation with close people and friends, but not only from the world of sport, one thing became clear for me. Each and one of us has to go through this experience at least once in life. We just call it by different names. Here in front of me, there is a mother searching for her new identity after giving a birth to her child. Somebody is moving from one job to another one. We are all maturing, changing, and evolving. These are all processes that we eventually fight, but they don't always arrive announced or when we are ready. One thing is certain, wherever we go, we always carry ourselves, our skills, our essence, and that singularity. We just call it differently. You know, some questions came across my mind. How can we make those complex changes understandable? What shapes a champion? What makes them truly exceptional? And how can an athlete carry that singularity from the court into the next phase of life? And in doing so, how can become a guide for a society that is itself going through this transition? In all these transitions, we question ourselves. What next? What happens now? Who am I if I am no longer a volleyball player? Well, to start from scratch, here is a bit about the daily life in a professional career of an athlete called Sanja. That's me. Quick glimpse into how one of my professional seasons looked like from August all the way until May of the following year. I hope you have some time to listen. It was never the same from one day to another one, depending on the part of the season. And usually it was divided into 3 phases. The first one, well, let's just say it was everyone's least favorite, the prep phase. The days are long, tough, exhausting, filled with conditioning, strength, training, and endless drills. At the beginning of the season, it's all about building rhythm and setting focus and that chemistry within the team. I usually managed to escape this phase because I was a part of the national team of Serbia. The second phase began with the first official match end of October and lasted all the way until March or April, the beginning of the playoffs. Looking back, I could say that this was the most important phase of the season, but honestly, each phase carried its own weight. This middle stretch was the longest one. It was filled with ups and downs, victories, defeats, and moments that shaped us as players and determined the phase and the course of the season. It demanded a lot of rest, a lot of dedications, and balance between mental and physical training, managing fatigue, staying focused, and very sharp. And then comes the third phase, the playoffs. And this is where all the fun begins. Probably, I'm sure that you all heard about the phrase, it's playoffs time, baby. Yeah, and the excitement is real. But you know what is behind the scene? It is about pushing through injuries, tiredness, pressures, and the weight of the highest expectations that we all want to achieve. All the work of the season comes together. The adrenaline, the desire to win, and to prove yourself one more time. Every match feels like a culmination and test of everything we've built. Eventually, that medal becomes not just a goal, but a symbol of survival, of your personal and team triumph. Priorities are always clear. The next training, the next match, the trophy, and of course, eyes on the prize. And in that relentless pursuit, there is no space and often not on the top of the priorities to think about the other side of the medal. The other side that waits so silently its turn, and it's the life after sports. For 12 years, I lived the most beautiful volleyball experiences. Careers and seasons abroad, competitions all over the world. Trophies, focus, hard work, and dedication kept me always moving forward. But sometimes circumstances appear that can push you in a completely different directions. And due to those circumstances, my mental and physical energy grew weaker and quieter. What I experienced is something that we all today know, burnout. And my goodbye to volleyball did not came when I wanted and when I was prepared. It came much earlier, at age 28, when most athletes are at the peak of their strength and achievements. It was the result of various injuries I carried for 10 years, of unprocessed stress that I didn't know how to manage by myself, and circumstances I didn't know how to handle. As long as my body could push forward, so did I. But then the day came when I had to stop and say goodbye. And from that moment, my most important match and mission was to become the person I needed during my professional career, and especially in transition. And that, of course, comes with its own burden, the weight of responsibilities, of facing realities I once tried to escape, of course, and understanding what sport has become today, how athletes think today, and how everything changes and evolves so quickly. Athletes today live in a world of incredible visibility, technology, social media, instant access to information allow us to celebrate our victories with millions, with a lot of crowd, to become ambassadors of global brands, to inspire entire generations. It feels amazing when someone stops you on the streets and say, "You are my role model, and you are the reason, and you are the example I want my child to follow." That really fills our hearts. But there is also the other side to this open communication. The same platform that gives us applause also gives us criticism, hate, insult, and often from people least qualified to speak about sports and our lives. Comments like, "You are bad, you're not strong, what are you doing in my team, go away, go home," or even personal attacks like, "You're ugly, you're fat, look at you, you're not an athlete." These are not just words. They hit really hard and cut really deep. Thankfully, support systems have improved in recent years, but I'm convinced that they can and have to be much stronger. The pressure on athletes is already enormous. Expectations we place on ourselves, demands of the team, and of course the constant judgment of the public. We need to process all of this, and with more than physical strength. It requires mental preparation, guidance, and care. And that is why one of my primary missions was to create a program for mental preparation, but not only for athletes, but also for their coaching staff. Because I truly believe that the power is in synchronized work. Coaches need to understand the emotional battles the players face, just as athletes need to learn how to transform those insecurities into fuel for resilience and confidence. Brands and teams here also play a huge role. They celebrate us when we win, they put us on billboards, they share our highlights. But what happened when we start losing? They step back. They leave us to battle and to fight with our own insecurities. And this is where support must evolve, not only celebrating the shiny side of the medal, but also standing strong when the reverse side appears. Burnout, pressure, and overcoming them must become our priorities. To protect mental health and ensure that the quality of sport and the humanity of athletes is preserved. After my career ended at age 28, I was really overwhelmed by the feeling that I wasn't enough. Imagine a European champion, an Olympian, thinking, I achieved nothing. I am nobody. I have no title. I'm not a CEO. I'm not a CFO. I'm not a managing director. I don't know. I cannot find myself. You know, I had no diploma. I had no corporate experience. And due to all these questions and insecurities, for a while, I had to completely step out from the world of volleyball and public. But not because I hated sports or people, just because it hurt too much to be present and yet feel lost in the environment that once shaped my identity. I once read a very powerful sentence. You cannot heal in the same environment you got sick. I really felt that. So, in this, let's say, isolated period, I started thinking about words, focus, stress management, teamwork, communication, adaptability, resilience. But wait, these are not just words. They were lived experience. They were something volleyball taught me. First of all, you really can love what you do. You can love your job. So I started questioning myself. What excites me? What inspires me? My biggest motivation now is to find something I will love and to make sure that my life after sport will become something I enjoy, something I wake up hungry for every day. And speaking about those skills and those words that I mentioned before, you know, teamwork, leadership, you probably heard. You live it. So let's try a small comparison to world on the court and in business. Teamwork. On the court. Trusting your teammates to cover the defense while you go for the spike. In the world of business, it's collaborating across departments and you rely on your colleagues. Then, of course, we have leadership. on the court, taking responsibility in the toughest moments, and in business, it is guiding a team through uncertainty and making those decisions that inspire confidence and keep everyone moving forward. So afterwards, I wrote all those interests and thoughts they were in my head. Organization, marketing, media, athletes, sport, leadership, mentorship. And I went to bed with all these thoughts. Let's just say 8 years later, I woke up here in front of you, speaking about all these things with my open heart. So, whether we come from sport, from business, or any other community, one thing unites us. It's transition. We have lived it, or we will. And in those moments, it is crucial to hold on to the very essence that makes us exceptional, the reason we came into this world. With it, we can create so much without ever abandoning ourselves or our dreams. And believe me, everything is possible. So for the end, or perhaps a new beginning, I would like to underline something. In times of transition, surround yourself with two kinds of people. Those who listen to your wildest dreams, ideas, disconnected words, and process. They feed your vision and your soul, even when nothing seems rational. And those who challenge you with discipline, with logic, with hard questions. How will you do it? Why? How much it will cost? Will you earn some money? Yeah, that's important. The second group is harder to face. But you know, they bring pain, they bring stress, frustration. But both groups are equally necessary. Together, they help us grow, and together, they make transition not just survivable, but transformative. I am sure that people with similar vision and values will always find each other, sooner or later. So just trust the process. Because in the end, transition is not just about endings or beginnings. It's about connections. It's about carrying our singularity into new arenas and about finding the people who will walk alongside us. And when that happens, everything we once feared becomes a source of our strength. Thank you.